So I'm using porcelain. That's a porcelain that has Neph Sy and Talc number 6 and flint and different kind of a lighter bentonite than we used for the and also a little bit of some EPK. So EPK and tile clay are your kaolin, and then their feldspar gives you your flux, and the silica is your glass former, but it's in every clay. All right, so grab it from both sides, make it round and put it in the middle, and that makes it easier to center. If you make an amorphous lump, you don't put it in the center, then you're going to be struggling with it. You can also use the sides of your legs to support. If it's a big piece of clay, it's more important, but so then I push it down. And if you're right-handed, you're going to use your left hand to push down with, and you brace with your right hand, and everything's going away from you on the right side if you're right-handed. It'd be the opposite if you're left-handed. Although my father was a left-handed and he threw right-handed, and it meant that his dominant hand was his left hand, so he wound up favoring the inside hand, and it made for a lot of round pots. All right, so then you open it. So I push my thumbs down, pretty much straight down. So, and if you got good depth perception, you want about that much. It's a little more than the wall's gonna be finally, because when you cut, the wire, for one thing, the wire bows upward, especially for larger pieces, but you also get rid of a little bit of clay, so it's not quite as thick as what your walls are gonna be. So what you want when you finally cut it off is to be the same thickness as your walls. So after I go down, you go straight out. Some people do this, they pull towards them. You know, so everybody has a slightly different technique. The basic concepts are the same. I've seen people do really weird ways of centering, and I've watched all kinds of potters. I watched old timers, like guys whose families had done it for literally hundreds of years. So once you open it up, you want to, I don't have all my tools here. Oh yeah, there it is. I use this tool, and it has a little bit of a round curve on one end. You can also use the triangular tool, but I prefer this one because it has a rounded edge. That means I don't have any really sharp angles in my piece. But you're gonna go from the center out. I think I need to open it just a little bit more. So you do your compression by going from the center out and then back in and pushing down at an angle on the right side if you're right-handed, left side if you're left-handed. So it has to be going, although the clay has to be going under it. If you put it in the middle, it's gonna gouge on this side and it's gonna slide and gouge. So you're actually defeating the purpose of doing this. So it's a slight angle, and I go back and forth. You can't really tell I'm going back and forth because it's a small opening. Sometimes it will get a little wavy in there from that, so I'll go back and smooth it out and go. And I also need to get a little bit more clay off of there and push out. And now I'm just going to smooth it so the bottom is smooth. I'm not going to push quite as hard as I did a minute ago. But this helps compress the bottom so you don't get S-cracks. The next step is to cone it in and up. But the way that I work, and I don't see this as a common technique necessarily, is I'm actually doing my first pull with like this as opposed to like that. So what I do is I guide it with my thumb over the top, and I kind of press in. So it's really the same thickness all the way up. So it's about that thick all the way up right now. So the next thing is you get your first ridge and pull that up. So you get a ridge all the way down to the wheel head. And you can use a sponge if you're not comfortable doing it. You'll get a little bit less And you got to be able to feel how thick it is while you're doing it. So I pull into a cone as well. I actually got it a little too thin at the bottom already, so that's why it's wobbling a little bit. So I can easily fix that. So I'll probably make this into a bottle or something. I didn't really think about what I was gonna make. So this is if you want a flat bottom. If you want a round bottom for a bowl or something, then you do it slightly differently. You want water on your hands the whole time. So I'm not gonna push as hard because it's kind of thin down at the bottom. So and really, I should have gone further out when I did this because I'm not supposed to be. I'll show you again. It's just like for some reason I'm messing up. I mean, it's not messing up. It's just that I can always correct stuff, but I'm doing more of a cowboy style throwing off the skin of my teeth, right? But once you learn how to do anything, you can improvise. So now I can start making the form because I've thinned out the walls. This will also thin them out a little bit, but I'm gonna bring this in a little bit. I said I was gonna make a bottle, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it like in it. You see how it's wobbling there? If you want to make a bottle, you need to push it in early on. Anyway, I'm just gonna make a open form. So I'm pushing out with my fingers on the inside. I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna show you how, if you get it too wobbly and you don't like that. I mean, some people don't care about whether it's even or not. Where's my tool? There it is. I made this out of a piece of bamboo and a little nail that I sharpened. And you can, let me get it stiffened up first. Make sure that the wobble doesn't come right back, because it will. The wobble will come right back if I don't straighten up what's below it. Probably will anyway. So you take off as little as possible to straighten it up. Grab it, put it aside, fix what you've done. And now I'm gonna go from the inside. So I'm gonna belly it out a little more. It'll also thin it out some. It also stiffens it some. This is the biggest problem with this tool. Some of these kidney tools will have a hole in it just to hold on to it, because the biggest problem is dropping them when you go inside. Yeah, this is how not to make anything. All the problems that I've had with this, but the basic throwing is the same. But I'll do one that's textbook in a minute. Teaching is different from throwing every day, so I don't like sharp edges on pieces, so I always soften everything. So let me go in here and there's a little bit of water in the bottom, and to get the water out, do one more push outward and then smoothing the outside. Since it's porcelain, I'm going to accentuate its, I want to make it thinner so that it'll actually be a little translucent. And I'm going to accentuate the round form. And I'm going to go back on the outside and get rid of some of the striations. I don't really mind that kind of thing. Some people want it smooth, really smooth. I don't really mind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the top again, and I'm going to do a little bit of what's kind of a traditional decoration in a way, but it can be interesting. And then, now some people can do this like that, but I kind of just do it one at a time. It's kind of like creating like a pie crust would be like, sort of, on the outside, and it makes it kind of even pattern. And there we have it. And if I want to make sure that it's a little bit even, push down a little bit, so that this is not the last. That wasn't the end, because you have to. I like to go back in the very end and get rid of the base a little bit and push in. So it compresses when you push in, but I'm cutting stuff off, but I'm also compressing it so it gets a little thicker down there as well. So if I do want to trim it later, I'll still have some clay down there that I can trim to make a foot. And you have to be a little bit careful, because if your tool catches, especially something like this really plastic porcelain that we made. Actually, I made this. I didn't make it. The earth made it. How about that? And it comes from all over. So it's a globalist clay body, right? I don't actually know where tile clay comes from. It may have come. Probably all the ingredients in this come from America, but a lot of things we use in ceramics don't come from America. So what happened to my wire? Okay, I got a braided wire. If I don't want to trim it, then I just use this, and it gives a pattern on the bottom. If I know I'm going to trim it, then I'll use a thinner wire. But I said I was going to trim it, but just to show you. So you can see the bottom of it. You see it makes a oyster shell pattern. All right, so that one's done. And now I'll do something that's more like how I normally teach to throw.